Hello, my name is Claire, and we'll be talking about how insects are more important than you might conceive, and why they're so important, and what we can do to save them. So pollinators are a very broad category of insect, and they're very important in every part of the world. Pollinators provide material and energy outputs from ecosystems. For example, pollen products from insects like bees, and also the fruit that comes from the plants they pollinate. They also provide maintenance of other ecosystem service networks. This is just a fancy way of saying they are super important in every food chain in the world, basically. And they also provide regulation of magnitude and directionality of ecosystem processes. This includes things like parasitoid wasps that provide pest control, and other insects that kill smaller insects that we might perceive as pests and other organisms might perceive as pests or parasites. And pollinators also provide cultural services. And this can be things like educational services and aesthetically pleasing services, anything that enhances the day-to-day life of humans. Not just ecologically, but financially, insects are very, very important all over the world. They provide ecological services worth at least $57 billion per year, and that's just in the United States. Is a vague estimate, but it may be valued at $235 to $577 billion per year worldwide in ecological services that insects provide. Also, 15 to 30% of the United States diet is a result of animal-mediated pollination. So not only is that the food we eat, but jobs created, packaging and growing the food we eat, it's just a whole ripple effect. Insects are also responsible for $3.07 billion worth of fruits and vegetables produced in the U.S. every year. So they are quite important. Insect populations all over the world are in decline, and it's very troubling to scientists everywhere. Areas even meant for studying wildlife that are under conservation and protection are experiencing insect population decline. Although this statistic is a tad extrapolated and targeted at certain taxa, it does provide a very descriptive picture. The 78 to 98% loss of insect populations in Puerto Rico rainforests over a 36-year study. While the statistic may be extrapolated, it should not take away from the portrayal of insect decline it is accomplishing. Almost half of all insect species are rapidly declining, and a third of all insects are threatened by extinction. While both of these are more talking about insects in the developed world, as those are the most insects we have on record, insects all over the world are in trouble. What are we doing wrong? Well, many people have a negative predispositions toward bees and other insects. Also, there's not enough environmental education happening, and this needs to happen more, because non-experts show to not know the full scope of importance of pollinators nearly as much as experts, and did not understand the consequences of insect decline. Urbanization without consideration is also hurting insect populations. Impenetrable services in urbanized areas are raising temperatures that are unsuitable for pollinating insects. And lastly, hyperbolized journalism is ruining the public's trust in science by using these attention-grabbing headlines that are sometimes extrapolated and not always correct or fully explained. Consequences include insectivorous species in decline because they don't have anything to eat. Pesticides used to kill all these insects are also hurting avian and aquatic populations through consumption and leaching. Killing all these insects and letting them decline could trigger cascading effects within several ecosystems, collapsing food chains. And this is if we do nothing about it and let global warming get pretty out of hand, but it could ultimately end in human extinction because there would be no pollination, which would lead to no plants, which would lead to a complete change in the atmosphere, ending in the human race. So what we can do to make the change, first of all, is to employ environmental legislation, such as requiring insect-friendly materials for construction, urbanization restrictions, and laws including insect protection. Also, informing your friends and neighbors to not kill insects, but to, if they are being pests, to relocate them. And lastly, we need to raise awareness by proliferating the general population with environmental education. So if we all work together, we can help stop the continuous decline of insects all over the world. Thanks.